We're going to look at what is a rational expression. And a rational expression, rational first of all means that you're talking about a fraction. And in our case we're going to write it as P over Q. And P and Q are both polynomials, so that means that their exponents are positive and they don't have a variable in the denominator. So here's an example of polynomial 3w, another one w squared minus 25. And the other important thing when you have a fraction is you cannot divide by 0, so q cannot equal 0. So I'll just remind you that anything divided, or let's do this one first. 0 divided by anything, for example 0 divided by 1 is just 0. But when you divide by 1, when you divide by 0, so if I do it this way, 1 divided by 0, you can't divide by 0. This is asking 0 times what will equal 1, and that's not possible, so this is undefined. And so this is really important. We don't want a fraction that's undefined, so our denominator cannot equal 0. Okay, so for B, when is a rational expression undefined? Let's write this out. It's undefined when the denominator equals 0. Okay, so when you're asked to identify all the numbers for which the following rational expression is undefined, that means what values do you have to exclude? That's another way to say it. You only need to look at the denominator. It's not the numerator. The issue is this denominator cannot be 0. That's when it would be undefined. So to figure that out, take your denominator, in our case x plus 4, and I want to know when is it equal 0, because that's when it would be undefined. And then you just solve for x. So in this case, all I have to do is subtract 4 from both sides. And it's undefined when x equals negative 4. So that's the value I have to exclude. And you can see here, if I plug in negative 4, I get negative 4 plus 4, which is 0, and that would be undefined. For this second example, we're going to do the same thing. You look at the denominator, which is w squared minus 25, and I'm not worried about the numerator, and I just want to know when is this denominator equal to 0, because that's when it's undefined. This is factorable. This is a difference of squares, so I'm going to factor it to be, the first term is w. Take the square root of 25 and you get 5, so it's minus 5 and plus 5. And then remember to solve, when you have two factors set equal to 0, you set both factor equal to 0 and solve for your variable. So over here I get w, add 5 over the other side, so you get w equals 5. And over here you subtract 5 over the other side and you get w equals negative 5. So this example has two excluded values. Both 5 and negative 5 would make the denominator 0.